Welcome in or welcome back to Round the Game, an honest conversation with people who have unique experiences to this game that we love. Today, great guest we have in front of me today. Orlando Magic fan and a pro wrestling fan, part of the Magic Minute crew and the epitome of a super fan. Everybody welcome in Magico.
Woo! Thank you for having me here. Let's go, Magic.
Now, I think we need to address the elephant in the room a little bit before, this is a basketball channel, but before we dive into the basketball portion of it, I want you to tell me about your connection to Lucha Libre and the bigger world of wrestling. How did you become a fan?
I'm an OG. So I originally became a fan way back when I was a kid during the WWF era with Hogan, Andre the Giant, Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat. So I got to see all that, and it cemented my love. Is when my dad took me to a house show. I didn't know it was right before WrestleMania 3, and I got to see Hogan slam Andre before everybody else saw it, around the world. And so that cemented my love. And then, of course, the Monday Night Wars came around. ECW was coming into prominence, and finally the cruiserweights. Lucha Libre started getting into the American sphere, so I started seeing it on TV, and from there I just fell in love with that specific subset, the Lucha Libre part, the cruiserweight division, love the X division, all that. So that's where my love just continued growing. Of course, it's wrestling. Who doesn't love wrestling? The storylines, the pop, the heat, the crowds getting into it, the swerves. It's just so much fun. So that's one thing that's just constantly, I've always followed wrestling since then. Sometimes you go in and out, life gets busy and wrestling can take up a lot of time with, 20 plus hours of programming across all the different federations. So that's where my love came for it. And of course, seeing Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero is my favorite. I know everybody thinks Rey Mysterio is, but Eddie Guerrero just holds a special place with just his character, his way of. I think he excelled even more so. I think than Stone Cold. At least to me, that whole heel face persona where you were a tweener, you did bad stuff, but people loved it. And the more bad you did, the more they loved it. The lying, cheating, stealing, Latino heat, all that, just that big character. But behind it all, there was always a heart to Eddie Guerrero. There was always some emotional connection, and you felt for him. And then when you know everything that happened, outside of the ring, you really get to, feel for him and really connect with him.
I don't cross promote it a lot, but I also have a wrestling account on TikTok. Cheap plug here this early into the show. Follow East Coast Pop over on TikTok. But I thought it was pretty apropos that I wore my ECW shirt for the wrestling
Nice.
fan guest that we have today. I do want to kind of talk about how else you've cultivated your love of wrestling. You've talked about Eddie. You've talked about Rey Mysterio. Eddie personally is on my Mount Rushmore. Have there been other
Absolutely.
luchadors that have like caught your eye? I've seen on your socials that you're kind of into Penta right now. Is there other wrestlers that have really caught your eye?
Yeah, well, Lucha Brothers, Penta and Phoenix, hopefully they team them up again in the WWE. But Billy Kidman, especially during that time, during the cruiserweight division, like a lot of those, even Chavo, like I said, Psychosis, Tuco Scorpio, all these guys, I love the athleticism of it all. And then, of course, because they're wearing masks and stuff, they're just big characters, big personalities. Like right now, we have Mr. Iguana, who's really popping off, in AAA and in NXT. Especially right now, we have Grande Americano. Like, I'm a huge fan. I love the gimmick. None of them are even American to begin with, yet none of them are Mexican or of any Hispanic origin. So it's just great. And of course, yeah, Penta Cero Miedo. Like, again, it's starting to become more prominent, and so I just really appreciate the athleticism of it all. And then, of course, just because they're big personalities, you get these big characters, and I just like anything over the top. That's what I love about wrestling. We get into it, even outside of luchador. Like, I love Trick Williams. Like, that guy just oozes charisma, and so I can't wait to see Trick Ilya Dragunov series, because I think Dragunov just brings the best out of anybody. The Mello Ilya Dragunov match that just happened recently, that to me is potentially match of the year type level stuff.
There's also other great ones in AEW as well. Mystico, Mascara Dorada. Like there is so much talent in the world of wrestling in general, but the subsection of wrestling for Lucha Libre, so good right now. I would argue it's probably like a renaissance era for wrestling, for that style of wrestling, we are so blessed to be able to watch this stuff.
I agree. Yeah, I even forget about just because AEW is a little off my radar just because WWE takes up so much time between, and NXT is in my backyard. I'm outside of Orlando, so we have the PC and NXT every Tuesday over here. So I follow that really closely. We'll see a lot of NXT wrestlers come to Magic games. Really blew my mind. Trick Williams was like about 5 rows down from me, and this is when he had the NXT title. So he was there with Lash Legend. That's when I found out that they were an item before it became really public. They worked a little gimmick later on, a couple months after. I was like, oh, look at that! I saw them together way before that. So yeah, I mean, it's an amazing revolution. I hope they bring LWO back. I really like that little faction. I think they could have done more with LWO because it was so prominent during the WCW era with Conan and all that. And Conan's an OG, and now with this relationship with AAA, I'm hoping that there's a lot more cross promotion there. I hope Conan does come into WWE and tries to revitalize and fix the LWO from what it is currently to what it can be.
Now, of course, this is a basketball channel. I want to know how your love of wrestling parlayed into your love of the Orlando Magic. I don't know if you are from Orlando originally, but I feel like that would be a pretty good. And how did your love of wrestling kind of morph into or mold with the love of basketball?
So yeah, so I actually grew up in New York until I was about 15. Then I moved down to Orlando. So at the time I was a Knicks fan, Jordan era, everything like that. So big rivalry. So I was 100% New York. But I come down here, and and right before I came down here over the summer, Shaq gets drafted to the Magic. So I come, and the city where I moved to, surprisingly, Shaq's twin sisters and the stepbrother go to the same high school. So Shaq actually showed up to my high school, and that's crazy. So even though I was a Knicks fan, I was kept Orlando Magic as my 1B. I wasn't too excited about the front office and the moves they made. The fan base here. I got to when you go to New York, I mean it was different. Everybody wore you were either Bulls fan or you were a Knicks fan, and you went hard for your teams. I come down to Orlando, and it's a little watered down. They can or cannot be fans. It's a transient city, so you would have lots of Knicks games, Knicks Magic games. You had just as many Knicks fans as you had Magic fans. So it was kind of just there. And then the front office made their choices of letting Shaq go, which was a huge mistake. And I made a decision in the 2004 draft. I said, if the Orlando Magic draft Dwight Howard, I will go in 100% and be a super fan of the Orlando Magic. Now, if they choose Emeka Okafor, because that was the who are they going to pick? They pick Emeka Okafor, then they're doing the same thing that they've always done, and I'll go hard and be a Knicks fan. So thankfully they selected Dwight, and from there I became a super fan. Dedicated everything NBA related to the Orlando Magic. And then as far as that, whenever I go to the games, my emotions would get the better of me. I get really into things, and so I'm loud. I'm cheering. Back at what we had, it was called the Arena, and the entire arena fits in the lower bowl of the Amway Center. So that's how small it was. But I would go in what I call the poor man's skybox, which is the very, very last row, because we had a little concrete shelf behind us where we could put our drinks, and we can stand up because there's nobody behind us. So it was the best experience. And as loud as I am, I definitely could tell that some of the players heard me. So I remember going to a Hawks Magic playoff series. It was when we were beating them by like 40 points every game. And so the crowd would leave a little early, real fans stay till the buzzer ends. And of course I was just clowning them, and they kept on looking back. So I was like, oh, I know they could hear me. So that was really cool, because then I felt like I was part of the Orlando Magic as far from a fan base perspective. And then the Orlando Magic did do a great job with the sixth man. They hung the sixth man jersey in the rafters. They really acknowledged the fans, especially during that Dwight run, during Dwight's tenure there. Leading up to the 0809 and that final season run, and it was just magical. And we would get on I'd get sometimes on TV just because of how boisterous I was and stuff, and so that made me feel like I was going to a wrestling match. I felt the same thing. We had being in Orlando, you had a lot of federations come through. We had MLW would do a lot of shows here. ECW would do a lot of shows, and so whenever I go to those wrestling events, it felt very similar to going to a Magic game, and so I kind of just my fandom just kind of grew in tandem, and so finally one day I just decided like let me go and I was on a cruise, went to Mexico. It's like let me get a black, white, blue something representing the Magic colors in a luchador mask. And so I think it was kind of like a psychosis type mask. And I went to a Magic game. It was awesome. Like people would come up and they just loved interacting because you if you go to a Magic game, everybody's wearing a jersey, so it's not like it's out of the blue to see someone out there and you'd be like, "Go Magic." If you go out into the supermarket or something, you're wearing a jersey, you'll get a lot of, "Hey, go Magic, go Magic." But you're at a game, it's expected. So wearing the mask like brought out something different in the fans. And, the fans would get more hyped because they're like, "Oh, let's take a picture." And so, I would do my best wrestling impersonation. Get into it. Stuff like that. The hold the hand up, have them, wear the belt, anything like that, just to get a little extra oomph, and so get them hyped up. So then, when it's come time to cheer, stand and cheer, we're all doing it.
I think every great team or like a community based team has a guy sort of like that that does something. He's known for something. I grew up in West Virginia and we have a single, it was double A at one point, but now it's a single A baseball team who has a guy that's called the toast guy. He throws burnt toast just in the stands. And I would have to imagine that the first time that he ever did that, he got a lot of weird looks. Was it like that for you the first time that you donned the mask, or was it a pretty cool connection from the jump?
Well, both. The first time I wore this particular mask here, oops, is my original custom El Magico design. Is this mask right here, with the balls and everything like that. And so I had that custom made, and I went to it was actually a Knicks game, and it was a season ticket holder recruitment event. And I took my son there. They gave us Lobo seats, and so I'm in the Knicks section behind the Knicks bench, wearing the mask, and cheering. I didn't have the belt at the time. Fun fact is, in real life, I'm very introverted. But when I don the mask, it allows me to not care. And I can go hard, I can scream and shout, go back and forth with some of the Knicks fans. And it was just really cool because at first, you got some weird looks, but fans were like, "Oh, that's cool." Especially the some of these designs are very Rey Mysterio-ish. So people, if you know wrestling, this mask is iconic. The look is iconic. And so people would come up and be like, "Hey, Ray." I'm like, "Oh, I'm not Ray," but and that's when the El Mágico persona came about. And it just at first it was like, "Oh, look at this guy," and then of course everybody thought that I was affiliated with the Magic. So I'm like, "Hey, for whatever legal reasons, just in case, I'm not affiliated with the Magic. I'm just a huge Magic fan." And then once I got the belt, though, that's when everything took off because then people just it stuck out. It stuck out. People loved the belt. They wanted to take a picture with the belt. Little kids saw it, and kids love wrestling, and so they see someone like me, and they get drawn, and they're shy at first, and so I come down to their level. I'm like, "Hey, you want a picture? You want to hold the belt?" And they're of course that breaks the ice, and of course you see the parents have fun with it too. So it's just really cool to give that little extra little bit to the fan experience when you go to a Magic game.
I don't know what the Venn diagram looks like on my channel for basketball fans and wrestling fans. I'm actually pretty sure it's just two separate circles. But in case I can push this together a little bit here, the whole mask idea for luchadors is so ingrained in Hispanic culture. It's the larger than life. It's this superhero persona, and this isn't a bit. I do not know what El Magico looks like behind the mask, and I don't want to know. That's the whole point of the luchadors. I pretend like I don't know what Rey Mysterio looks like. I don't know what Penta looks like, and I want to keep it that way
Yep.
forever. So, is
Yep.
is there something like ethereal to you when you put on the mask, like this alter ego, this persona? Like, who is the person versus El Magico? Like, what's that switch like for you?
Oh yeah, 100%. It really is an alter ego. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm introverted. I'm an office worker when I don't have the mask on. I definitely show my age without the mask. So when I do put on the mask, I literally drive to the parking garage, and in the parking garage, I put the mask on. So the moment I get out and walk to the arena, I'm El Mágico. From that, and all the way till I walk back to the car, and sometimes depending on how hyped up I am, even driving until I get to the highway, I'll keep the mask on. I'll keep the persona going because you'll see fans walking by and honk and they'll scream, "Oh my God, let's go Magic!" Just build that up. And as far as that Venn diagram, here in Orlando, I think there's a huge overlap. Because we have the Performance Center, because we have NXT here in our backyard, because we see wrestlers go to the game and they post content of them at the game. Isla Dawn, before she was released, she's the hugest. She has a fan crush on Franz like no one else, and she constantly posts, videos of her at the games just swooning over Franz. Like I explained before, we had Trick there. One thing that really, and of course, we have WWE comes over to Orlando at least 2 or 3 times a year. So we'll get a SmackDown. We had Raw and SmackDown just within the past like 2 months. And so I went to the SmackDown event, didn't get a chance to go to the Raw event because that's too close to the holidays and I was with family and stuff. But here in Orlando, at least, I think that it overlaps a lot because this is such a big wrestling community. We have our local radio show has their own federation, the Monster World Order, and they have they even have Teal Piper as actually their champ right now. So Roddy Piper's daughter, so she gets on, and so there is a heavy wrestling presence. And then of course the Orlando Magic is like our only professional sports team until the Jaguars come in for a season. So there is a heavy overlap that if you're a fan of sports entertainment, if you're a fan of crowd interaction, anything that is fan centric, it's here, and it's Orlando Magic or wrestling. So I guess I want to bridge that gap too. One thing that really frustrates me is uh, in tip off during the Magic games, they will play those horns, and Trick Williams themes comes on, and I'm the only one screaming, "Whoop that trick! Whoop that trick!" Because I think whoever's DJing it understands that is a hype up song that gets everybody riled up in the WA audience. I hopefully now that Trick has been called up to SmackDown, and you see the crowd reaction, those horns come on and everybody's ready to whoop that Trick. So I'm hoping that will translate, especially coming out of All-Star break where we really start playing serious basketball. I'm hoping that they understand how important the fans are to that. I hope the fans realize how important we are to keeping that team hype. You see Jalen Suggs. I mean, he's constantly trying to get the crowd hyped up. You know, awesome guy, by the way. I met him. I went down to the HUD when they come out of the locker room tunnel. My wife got me for my birthday. Passes to go down there. They had an all you can eat buffet, and you're in between the two locker rooms, the visitors and our locker rooms. Of course, I'm hanging out on my side. It was the Celtics, and so big rivals. Don't really care to see them. I lie. It'd be great to see any basketball player, but it was awesome. We made Jalen Suggs some custom trading cards, and he was awesome. He signed every single one. He really loved he loves the fan experience. He gets it. He understands that this is not something that is normal. Again, you're one of 450 players in the NBA, so you're one of 450 best people in basketball in the entire world. So he doesn't take it for granted, and he understands the fans are a huge part of it. And not only that, he gets that when we're hyped, it gives their energy a little bit more. They'll try a little harder. Those 50-50 balls will come our way. And so it's really cool. So I love this whole fan experience, this whole wrestling thing. And when people do like wrestling and they see someone in wrestling attire, it's almost like that. Being a wrestling fan is still kind of taboo, as mainstream as it's gotten. it's still something that's just for kids, or it's fake. So we deal. So when you get that camaraderie, and so if I see someone sees me and they're in a Magic jersey and they see a wrestling character and they know that I actually get it, oh man, it's awesome. There's actually a guy, the arena has these guys called refs, and I forgot what the acronym is for, but they basically help with any questions you have, but they wear ref shirts. So one of the guys, great guy, every time we see each other, we'll take pictures, and he's wearing the ref thing, so we'll do, he'll hold my arm up and hold the belt up and everything like that. So it's awesome. And so when they see that interaction, other people breaks the wall down, and other people want to come and interact, and then you get other people start talking about wrestling, and so it's really cool because then it's building this Magic wrestling community as well. So it's a really awesome thing to see, and just to be a part of that is really cool. I don't like I, I'm not affiliated with them, so I don't get paid or anything like that. I seriously just do it for the love, to give to have to make lifelong Magic fans. If you're gonna only be able to go to one game, I want it to be memorable for you. I know the organization does, but me personally, I want it to be memorable for you because I knew how it felt when I got that extra experience going to a Magic game. Of course, I was a season ticket holder, but even little things like being in the O zone, which was the upper level during the one of the playoff games. My son was just born. I took him to the game. He's 1 month old. Had his little earplugs in and everything because it was loud. But we're holding him, and then the jumbotron. Someone caught sight of him and just zoomed in on him, and the crowd went wild. And it was just it was cool. We took pictures of it, so it's like my 1 month old was on the jumbotron at a Magic game, and so I got got that memory. And so when I go to these games, I'm like, I'm blessed enough to have season tickets to be able to have the opportunity to go to every Magic game that I can. So I want to just spread that love and make lifelong Magic fans by giving other fans that same type of experience.
I don't think that this is particularly, I'm going to call it normal. This isn't a normal fan experience. You don't see it at MSG. You don't see it in Minnesota. I feel like it is definitely part of the southern half of the United States. I feel like for cities like Orlando or San Antonio or Los Angeles, like the cities with Hispanic flair is where you start to see stuff like this. The Jackals for San Antonio remind me a lot of what you and the Magic Minute do, just trying to be a part of the crowd, have personas, have this whole like fan interaction thing. What does it mean for you and the Magic Minute? You can speak on behalf of them to be a part of this vibrant community that love Orlando Magic basketball and be able to perform your kind of fandom in front of everybody.
Well, that's the awesome thing about the Magic Minute crew because we kind of just formed organically. We were all doing our own individual things. Mr. Magic Minute, Jay Curve, he was always doing, the Magic Minute prior to us linking up, and he would give just pregame, quick tidbits, and of course, being in this community and knowing a little more information than the regular fans, he would throw that out there. Post game, you feel emotion, whether it's a win or a loss, he'd be really hyped. And I just love that, when I was following him. And so I reached out, and of course, he heard about me, started seeing things with me because, the Kia Center actually posted a picture of me just flexing. This is when I was a little more, I had some arm injury, but before I was kind of D's there. I took a picture with some Magic temporary tattoos. I was like, like that. And he started following me, and then we were just like, okay, there's more people like us who just really love the Magic on an extra level, on a ridiculous level. And then we also linked up with walking to the game. I ran into Gotham Grails, who what he was doing is he wanted to give fans an extra experience. So he had some low bowl seats, some ultimate seats that got you access to the tunnels and everything like that. And he would raffle off seats and then go with you, and kind of like, because he knew the ropes and knew where to go, knew where to stand, where you would get the maximum experience, the maximum fan interaction with the players, anything like that. So we all kind of just started chatting back and forth, just really talking about the games and talking about what's going on, what we hope the front office would do, what you think about Paolo because he had just gotten drafted, and just seeing this trajectory that, like, okay, when we got Paolo, it's like, okay, we got something. We had Franz, first, and it was like, okay, we got something coming there. But then Paolo took it to that next level, and from there, it's like, oh my gosh, are we about to be like '09? Are we getting there? And so we decided to just like, hey, we all love this. Let's do this together. Let's get let's become because fans were following Mr. Magic Minute, fans were following Gone Grails, fans were following me, and we were just like, well, we love the fans and we love the Magic. Let's be the Orlando Magic fans' favorite fans, and so that's kind of what we're trying to do. And the cool thing about the even the fan community here is we have some big wigs. We have like Locked On and a Six Man Show. Six Man Show is really really big, but they have their own flair. We kind of wanted to do something a little different, bring our personalities in. Like, again, we come from a different cultural aspect of it. I bring the lucha, the Latino flair to it. Mr. Magic Minute brings black culture. Grails came from Miami, so he's a new guy who's just getting integrated into Magic culture from Heat culture. So we always rib him about that. And then, of course, we all love wrestling. So this was just like perfect. Now we can just jive about all the stuff we love, and it grew organically from there. But it's just a really cool community because we know what our lane is, and that's what we're trying to grow is really get that fan experience. We just interviewed Daryl Armstrong a few weeks ago because Mr. Magic Minute knew him on a personal level, and so we were able to ask like questions that not normal people. We don't ask them just the X's and O's and basketball related questions. Go very off topic because that's kind of what we are. We want to chop it up as if you were hanging out in the living room with us, and that's how we want to feel. Like if you watch a game with us, we want you to feel like you're at home watching a game with your boys.
I truly love what you all do, especially you, the whole Magico gimmick, the persona. I think it takes a very special kind of person to let down the facade a little bit that everyone. I think internally everybody's a little nervous, a little anxious, a little scared to have any sort of interaction. But for you to put on this like shield of armor, for a lack of a better term, and just show out and show like a true personality, really do love the stuff. But of course, this is an alter ego. This is the Black Mamba for Kobe Bryant. What is it like for you when you're watching the game at home? You can't make it to every game. What is it like for you there? Do you let your hair down? Is it all gas, no brakes? You know what I mean? Like, what is it? What is it like watching a game for you in your living room versus watching it in the arena?
Yes and no. El Mágico is a persona, and when I don the mask, it goes full fledged. But El Mágico is in me whenever the Magic come on. Whenever anything's about the Magic, El Mágico comes out. However, at home, I don't wear the mask because this does get kind of hot eventually. But I still have routines. I still have to wear this shirt. I still have to wear the jersey. I have a pair of, cargo shorts. Shout out John Cena. Pair of cargo shorts that I have to wear every time watching Magic, down to the point where our car has to be in econ mode because whenever it's not, for some reason the Magic lose. So I have to work with correlations, and so correlations is not causation. However, anything I can do on this end to help the Magic win, I'm gonna do. And so when it comes to that, I'll still cheer. I still have certain things I do, much like wrestlers have their own gimmicks. I have my gimmick. Whenever there's a three, you'll see me in the crowd. I'm doing the Eddie Guerrero, but I have the threes there. Whenever Desmond Bain does anything, put the three up here and bang. So, I have my chance, I have my gimmicks, and I'm hoping that, eventually we'll get the crowd to start popping. I got my cousin already starting to do it. He's just as loud as me when he comes to the games. And we tend to get the crowd hyped. I'll start the Let's Go Magic chants, the Ref You Suck chants, which is getting more and more prominence, especially this season with the way the refing has been officiated. But you know, I know they probably have been doing it, but I would like to think that I got the refuse suck, going because of wrestling. We've been chanting refuse suck for the longest time, and so bringing that to a Magic game is pretty cool. And plus, we start interacting with the local fans. High fiving anybody around there. It's a lot easier to high five this guy than some rando because you don't know if they're gonna be more receptive. At least for me, anything you do as a fan is okay and is all right by me, and I will jive with you. So high fives, fist bumps, screaming go Magic. You when the mask is on, it's great. But even when the mask is off, I at least have one piece of Magic attire on every single day. It's kind of ridiculous.
I think it's been a great conversation. Love that we were able to do this. Before we start plugging all your stuff in the Magic Minute, I do have a little bit of a game for you, of this or that. I have three questions for you. I'm going to give you a scenario, and you can only pick one. If you're ready, I'm ready.
All right. All right, let's do this.
Would you rather be front row at WrestleMania? I'll even give you both nights. Or courtside for Game 7 of the NBA Finals?
Oh, of course, game seven. Game seven by none. One, and I got a great reason for it because Game seven, NBA Finals. When is that ever going to happen? There's a WrestleMania every year. You get enough money, you can always go to that. But man, if I could just be at from a at a Magic Finals, oh my goodness, I've been to Magic Finals up in the second level during the Lakers Magic Final Series, and even just being in there, it's a different air, it's a different experience. Everything is just so much more elevated. I wish I had the El Magico persona back then. But yeah, by far. I mean, as much as I love wrestling and WrestleMania, that card had to be very, very enticing to me to choose them over a game seven.
We've talked about your love of Rey Mysterio, and Eddie Guerrero is your guy. I'm going to make you pick one here. Would you rather have seen one more World Heavyweight Championship or a world title reign with Eddie Guerrero, or another one with Rey Mysterio, maybe this last year on his way out?
Oh, Eddie by far. Rest in peace, Eddie. That he not only did do I just love his character, he reminded me so much of my brother, and he got into prominence like right when my brother passed. So it was just kind of like a transition that helped me heal. So Eddie, and plus just I mean, everybody still talks about that promo he cut against Brock Lesnar, that super real promo. And just that cemented my love for him. And then when he won, I know it's taboo to bring up Benoit, but when they were facing each other in the ring and they ended up hugging at the end, I mean, like, I lost it. I'm watching that, and it was such a pinnacle moment, just following Eddie's trajectory and just seeing that. So as much as I love Rey Mysterio, and I don't doubt he'll still have some sort of title in his future, whether it's fighting, doing an IC title thing with his son, or something. There will be something where his tag team. He's technically the unofficial head of the LWO right now, so he'll have something coming up. But I would have loved to see just one more run with Eddie. That guy was just so special because he transcended even just Latino culture. Like, everybody related to him. He just loved anything he did. He just came off so authentic. It was awesome.
And then this is a basketball channel after all, so I'm going to end it with a basketball question. Would you have rather won an NBA championship with Dwight Howard or with Shaquille O'Neal?
Oh, for me, I would have personally liked it with Dwight Howard. Now, had Shaq stayed, of course, you would love to see Shaq. But I remember watching the the Magic Houston when they got swept. But I remember watching that and kind of rooting against the Magic because I was still kind of a Knicks fan. So going to that Magic Lakers series, I've met Dwight Howard a couple of times, just through the season ticket holder experience or any fan meet and greets. And he was just a great guy. Like, I know the his tenure here ended really tumultuous, and fun fact, during one of the ESPN videos and montages and stories about Dwight's departure, they always show this bonfire of Dwight gear going up. Well, I was friends with the radio show at the time, and a lot of that stuff was actually my memorabilia that went up in flames. So I could be like, oh, there's my Dwight jersey. Now, granted, I had about 3 or 4 Dwight jerseys at the time, but I did give him some stuff there because I was hurt. We made a whole campaign, made a whole loyalty campaign for him to stay, and just the way everything got soured, and the fact that Stan Van Gundy left mainly because of Dwight, really hurt us because I loved Stan Van Gundy. I still love Stan Van Gundy. To me, he was just one of the greatest coaches. Just, I loved his interviews. He cared, and you can tell he cared from the interviews to seeing him on the sideline, his reaction. He looks like a little like he looked like a Mario brother, and it was just awesome to see him get so animated and stuff. Even now, you hear him on the broadcast, and his X's and O's knowledge is just so great, and the way he delivers it is just with so much heart and authenticity that you can't help but love the guy. So yeah, I would have loved to see a Dwight Howard championship.
I think it's been a great conversation. Tell everybody where they can find you on your socials, where they can find you and the Magic Bandit crew at the games. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Absolutely. So I would suggest everybody follows at Another Magic Minute, and then from there, the link in bio has mine, which is at El Magico Orlando, at Gotham Grails GOTEMGRAILS, and at Mr. Magic Minute. So you follow all three of us. Our content, we always share all our content. Another Magic Minute is the main hub, and we're just trying to grow it. So please follow us. Reach out to us. We would love to have some man on the street. We're starting to do a little bit more content going out there, really like hitting the pavement, and really want to get the fans perspective. We actually went to the meet and greet, did a little bit of a little fan one-on-one while we were waiting in line, and got some really interesting answers to who would you trade and who would you want to get in that trade. So some answers may hurt some feelings, but this is raw fans, and this is what they how they feel.
All your links are going to be in the description. While you're down there checking those links, check my links. I'm literally everywhere you can
Absolutely.
think of. Blue Sky, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, literally everywhere you can think of. I also have a Discord community that I would love for you to be a part of. That's going to do it for El Magico. That's going to do it for me. Be kind. Tell somebody you love them. We'll see you in the next one.
Barely scraping by. Trying to stop puffing. I'm trying to be one of the greats.